Mic testing.
Hi, Joachim.
Hi, Professor Aman. Good to see you. कैसे आप? Good to see you.
Yesterday when I knew you wished the better time was seeing somewhere.
No problem, no problem. Thank you. If I can kindly ask everyone to please be seated so we can kick off the session. Maybe we'll wait another 5 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. We will be starting this session shortly, another 5 minutes. So if you could please be seated. Hello, good afternoon. In the interest of time, can I request everyone to please sit down? Yes, we can, post session also we can carry forward these conversations. Okay, thank you. So, good afternoon and a very welcome to the wonderful audience present here. Thank you for joining the United Nations Environment Program session at ICSE. I am Arpan Singh, the Youth Officer at UNEP, and I will be the MC for this session. The theme for this session is Engaging Youth Through Education and Advocacy for Solutions to Plastic Pollution through UNEP's Tide Turner Plastic Initiative. That was quite a mouthful. UNEP's Tide Turner Plastic Initiative is a global initiative engaging youth across the country to address the issue of plastic pollution threatening life in oceans, rivers, and on land across 40 countries. The initiative seeks to educate young individuals on single-use plastic, leading to action that will reduce land and marine plastic pollution. It also aims to motivate them to alter behavior and norms around plastic usage at both individual and community levels. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to play a video for you so that I can stop waxing eloquent about the initiative and you get to see it for yourselves. Amit Bhaiya, can you play the video, please? Volume. Can we have the volume? Can we begin from the...
What is the hardest thing to do? What is the single toughest thing to undertake as a human being? We believe that the hardest thing to do is to change a habit. Over 600,000 youths globally and more than 450,000 youth across India alone have worked tirelessly since 2018 to do the hard thing, to change habits. Not only as individuals, but as a community and as a nation. These youth enrolled in the UNEP Tide Turners Plastic Challenge with nothing but a resolute will to do better as stewards of planet Earth. It began with taking a long, hard look at their own relationship with single-use plastics as individuals and as communities to understand the existing behavior. What was the plastic problem? While some identified a packaging problem, others saw the sanitary napkin problem, and many others found dumping and disposal problems. Underlying each of these, though, was an awareness problem. So the Tide Turners champions set about educating themselves and their families, friends, schools and towns. They communicated passionately and convinced shop owners, customers, manufacturers, and even their own social media followers to take small, actionable measures to tackle these problems surrounding single-use plastics. The result? Education campaigns and clean-up drives across the countries. Cleaner ponds, lakes, streams, rivers and beaches with successful return of species such as sea turtles, crocodiles and dolphins to these cleaner ecosystems. Reduction in usage of single-use plastic cups, bags, straws and sanitary napkins. Switch to reusable materials like cloth, metal and butter paper to replace the plastic. As the old adage goes, it takes a village. Tide Turner Youth Movement in India, with the support of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, has evolved from individual efforts to full-scale drives. The press has taken note. Local authorities and policymakers have been involved in making sustainable changes, and even celebrities have endorsed the efforts. The Tide Turners Plastic Challenge Phase 4 in India has been a success. The youth of our country, from as young as age 12, have shown up and how. Their journeys have been incredible, inspiring so many of us along the way. The numbers are uplifting. The statistics make us proud. So, can we stop here now? Can we pat ourselves on the back, distribute the awards, feel good and move on? The Tide Turners Plastic Challenge is a global initiative, simply because our battle with plastic is a global problem. The Tide Turners was launched in 2018 in Kenya, where it gained momentum and scaled up to 4 other African countries, engaging a total of 35,000 young people in the program. It was introduced in India in 2019, and it has now spread to 40 countries. While we have made commendable strides with the support of our youth in these 40 countries, this pressing problem of our time is far from solved. Today, we embark on the global journey for the Phase 5 of the Tide Turners Plastic Challenge. We urge our young leaders to think bigger, work harder, and inspire many more of our fellow human beings across the world to turn the tide on the greatest challenge facing our species this century. You have changed habits, you have done the hard thing, and you have done it magnificently well. But the journey has just begun. So let's take a moment today to appreciate how far we've come and look ahead with hope and resolve. What is the
That's all right. I always feel extremely heartened when I watch that. My journey with tide turners has been over the last year and a half, but to sort of trace it back to its genesis, how the idea came about, what necessitated Tide Turners Plastic Challenge, may I please invite on stage Mr. Sam Barrett, who is the Chief of Youth Education and Advocacy Unit at UNEP. He's based out of Nairobi, but he's here with us. So Sam, the stage is all yours. Can I have a round of applause for Sam, please?
Good afternoon. Nice to see you all. So Britain has had many prime ministers in recent years, and one of them was responsible for starting the Tide Turners Plastic Programme. Her name was Theresa May, and she was going to come to visit us in Nairobi. I'd always had this idea of doing something with the Scouts and the Girl Guides. I was a Scout, and spent many times doing fairly dubious things on Friday nights in North London, and but it also made me connect into nature and spend time in the woods and the forests. And I had this thing inside me, which is the nature which gave rise to the Scouts and the Girl Guides, which is their home, will not be there forever unless the Scouts and the Girl Guides fight for it. So a friend of mine worked for the British government called Bryony, and she said, Theresa May's coming, the Prime Minister, we need to get her to do something. I was like, okay, I've got some ideas. And so I said, I've been thinking about doing a badge with the Scouts and the Girl Guides called Tide Turners for years. Maybe we could get her to do something. She says, maybe, let's see. And so within 2 weeks, we came up with a whole concept for the Tide Turners programme, level 1, 2 and 3, that was then introduced by the British Prime Minister, who promptly decided to do a lot of dancing outside the UN headquarters that then led to some degree of ridicule, but then became part of her identity as well. So I think Theresa May, who I don't think is watching this on the live stream, thank you for everything you've done, because without your support and your dancing, we wouldn't be here today. Since then, Britain has had, I think, 3 or 4 prime ministers, so we go through them quite regularly in our country these days. But I think for me, what we're trying to do with Tide Turners is to think about how we can give young people the opportunity to show what difference they can make in the world. And how we, as people who may be slightly greyer with their hair, can really support young people to have more impact with the challenges that we face. And I think for me, the way I think about Tide Turners is an entry point and a gateway into action on a whole plethora of environmental issues. But because you can touch, feel and see plastics, it's a great gateway into getting people to make a difference. So what we hope will happen is plastics is the gateway into other environmental concerns that young people have. And it's a way that you can tangibly show the impact you can make by making different choices. But in addition to that, plastics, I think, is conveniently inconvenient for nature. And the fact that we have got very lazy with our lifestyle choices means that plastic has now spread so far, so deep, so wide, that every part of the planet is now touched by it. And I think I'll say that again, every single part of the planet is touched by our plastic habits. And that starts with us, and it starts on land, and then it gets flushed into our seas, which ends up in the Arctic. It's in the air that we breathe, it's in the top of the mountains. There is no escape from plastic in the planet. So the only way we can start to make a difference on this is to empower young people to make a difference. So that's kind of how it started, and then it grew in Kenya. But then what India did was it supercharged it to a degree that we never would expect. And so with colleagues from WWF and CE, many are in the room, and also Gayatri and Arpan and Atul and Divya, who are not here. There was a real interesting meeting of 3 organisations wanting to make a difference, and I think hats were left outside the door and people working in a truly collaborative way to see what difference that we could make. So I think for me, what I love about Tide Turners is one is empowering young people to show their best selves. And what we've also done with young people is to use them as a sounding board for other ideas. So we did a report called 5 Ways Governments Can Avoid Youth Washing, listening to 1,000 Tide Turners to work out how can governments, who may be very scared about getting it wrong in working with young people, can work out how to get it right. And what do young people need from governments to be effective in their agency? And so that found 3 things. Young people like to learn from young people, so peer learning has got to be a critical factor of what we look to do. Governments want to be, young people want to be at the seat of the table with governments. They need to kind of have agency in those conversations. And also young people need to have the funds they need to kind of have access to in order to scale their ideas up to the next level. And so I think what happened in India, and why I'm so proud of the work that's been done by many other people across this whole beautiful country, is a story of the promise of change. And I think for me, what it gives me hope in Tide Turners is that it's now gone to 50 countries. We've had a conversation this morning with the man that runs many of the schools in this city to think about how schools can be plastic free. How can we teach the teachers to think about this as not an add-on that gets tested, but a cultural part of the mindsets that young people have in their schools. And we're also, what I like about Tide Turners is it has structure, but it can flex. And so it's like a willow in the wind. So if the wind wants it to blow this way, it can move with it. And so change happens when it's never set in concrete. Change happens when it's malleable in clay. And so what we want Tide Turners to do is to become something that every government in every city around the world thinks is something that's normal. Something where young people are supported to be agents of change, where we're giving them power. And also what we're trying to do is address this problem upstream. So a conversation I had last week with the Girl Guides in Kenya is, I would like you to be Tide Turners, but I don't want you to pick up one single piece of plastic. You didn't drop this stuff, you don't have to pick this stuff up. So what will it take for you to think about getting others to clean up and take responsibility? And how do you use your power to get people to think differently about the choices they're making? Because if we keep cleaning plastic up, we'll still be here in 100 years' time and there'll still be plastic on the floor. So the more we can do upstream in the minds of people, upstream into how plastic is being produced, then we don't have to deal with the downstream consequences. So in terms of the origin story of this, it started with a conversation with the British Prime Minister that was dancing. It then led to India doing radical work that took it to scale. It's then led to very generous support by the British government that's seen it be supported year in, year out. But I think what happens next is really to be determined. We're committed to stick with it, but I think it can evolve and take shape in lots of different ways. And so for us, I just wanted to recognise some of the Tide Turners that are with us here today. So Sneha will probably be too humble to talk about what she's really done. So you won't really hear how truly incredible her story is about bringing the crocodiles back at the university she went to. But each Tide Turner of this community has done something truly magical. And I think our role is to give them a platform and a pedestal and a microphone they can speak from. So people like me can sit down and be quiet and we can hear from them. And so with that, that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Sam, thank you for sharing the global perspective on the plastic issue and why that necessitated the need for TTPC. TTPC is what we call Tide Turners Plastic Challenge, and how Tide Turners has the potential for systems change. I mean, it's predicated from awareness to action and has this elasticity to be molded upstream and give platform to young champions like Sneha to make the change. As the video mentioned, we are here in India in the 5th iteration of the program, and its journey has been significant. To discuss the Indian perspective of what the plastic issue is, how does it tie in with Tide Turners, I'm going to request Dr. Sumit Sharma from UNEP to please come and address the audience. Sumit is our expert on plastic at UNEP.
Thank you, Arpan, and thank you, Sam, for setting this up very nicely. We have always heard about tide turners, but we have not heard the story behind it and how, philosophically you connect to the whole initiative. Thank you for sharing that today. My job is to excite you about plastics, and not about using plastics, but moving away from them. And why? 9 billion tons of plastics have been produced across the world. 9 billion tons. We are just 8 billion people in this world. A ton for, every human by now. Only 10% of it is getting recycled. 90% is there in the earth somewhere, right? Entering the environmental resources either through water, through air, through land. And it's not just, resting there. It's slowly and steadily entering the human bodies, either through direct ingestion, either through inhalation of air, the polluted air. When the plastics burn, the fumes of dioxins and furans and all these things, they enter our body. And that's leading to a variety of impacts on our human body. We are seeing the rise in cancers. We are seeing the rise in so many types of diseases. Many of these are not directly linked to a particular cause. People get cancers, and sometimes they don't even know why they got the cancers. They're not smokers. They're not close to any particular source, but they are ingesting so many of these kind of contaminated particles, which leads to these kind of issues. In India, we are almost generating 3.4 million tons of plastic waste. We are using much more than that. It is the plastic waste which is getting generated, almost 4 million tons in different cities. And this is the conservative estimates to my understanding. If we really do a better inventory, we may get higher numbers. And you will be surprised that our per capita consumption of plastics is nowhere close to the world average. That means there's a chance that we may grow further and try to achieve the levels of developed nations. The choice is ours, whether we want to do that or not. Now, I have talked about the impacts on human health, but there are, other impacts which are also evidently visible to us. We have just gone through the monsoon phase, and we see, issues with the urban flooding, the drainage, and all those kind of things. Plastics play a very important role in blockages of these drainage systems and all these kind of urban infrastructure problems which we face in our cities. So if we resolve this issue, we are going to help the urban side of things also. Now let me talk about a bigger scale. There's a study which has told us that in 2040, if we grow with the same trajectory, 1/5, 20% of GHG emission contribution will come from plastic production. So if we think about it now, we are going to hit this pool of GHG gases, very impactfully, and that can lead to benefits all across the world, all across different sectors. Coming to some specific impacts, and these are anecdotal also in nature, but this tells you something. If you talk to fishermen, there are studies which are telling us almost 60% of fishermen are telling you that they have seen marine animals entangled with plastics in rivers. If you see some of the PhD thesis, they are telling us that the dung samples in the animal reserves, so-called protected areas, the dung samples of animals, all of them had contamination of microplastics in that. Clearly telling us that it is entering our food chains and causing variety of problems. Now coming to what have we done about it? Indian government, I would say, is very sensitive about this issue, and we had plastic waste management rules in place, and they have made two very important amendments in the plastic waste management rules in the form of banning selected single-use plastic items. I'm not saying that it is happening on the ground, but at least we have made a start by saying that, first of all, giving a clear message that there is a need to control our footprint on plastics. And second, to basically get rid of the plastics which is not required, which is just single use. We can move back to what we have been doing 20 years back. We never use these plastic plates or forks or spoons. We always used to have our own tumbler in our hand. We used to go to the shops and get our stuff filled in those things. So in a nutshell, we are trying to bring those times back, getting back to the reusability mechanisms by trying to eliminate single-use plastic items. The second, probably more impactful thing which the Government of India has done is to bring the extended producer responsibility on plastic packaging. And plastic packaging is a very big chunk of the overall plastic waste we generate. About 40%, Kaushik, correct me if this number is about that. But this is, the rule says that the producers of plastics, the brand owners which are using their products to package through plastics, are responsible now to collect, to reuse, to recycle the plastics themselves. If they are introducing 1 ton of plastics through their packaging, they are supposed to collect 1 ton of plastic waste and get it reused, get it recycled, and use the recycled content back into their packaging. So that's a big notification which has come, and at UNEP we are trying to work with the national governments, we are trying to work with the sub-national governments to implement these rules on ground. We are trying to work with the industries to derive different models through which the waste can be collected on ground. You will say that it's not happening, right? But it has just started, and we can see the movement in the industry, in the sub-national bodies, to collect this waste and make some good use of this. And there comes the business opportunity, and why I am so hopeful that this should be successful, because this makes a business case for a lot of us to get into this and collect the waste, get it recycled, and sell the products. And basically you get into a business mechanism which is self-sustainable, helping the cause to reduce pollution, but there is a big business opportunity which is lying there. So this is what is happening on the policy space, but then there is a lot to be done, and I think young people have a lot to offer here. The universities have a lot to offer here. Scientific assessments. So I've done a lot on the air pollution side in my career, and I feel that plastics is standing where air pollution was 15 years back. I'm not saying we have resolved the issue of air pollution, but at least we have started monitoring it now. We have the numbers of air quality index displayed at so many locations. But if I'll tell you what is the plastic pollution in your city, I don't think in India we have this answer. Who will do that? The universities, the agencies, the NGOs, and eventually the government should establish a monitoring network which clearly tells you where are we in terms of microplastics concentrations, where are we in terms of plastics concentrations in India. The one more thing which I would attempt to touch here is the capacities. I don't think we have enough capacities to implement these rules at this moment, and this needs to grow. Many of you will have to join forces. You will need to get into the government. You will need to get into the institutes who train people to get things enforced on the ground. And then only we can see, real impact of these policies on the ground. I can keep on speaking, Arpan, if you allow me, but I don't want to take more of your time. Just wanted to, excite you about this important aspect. And I'm sure I have probably done a bit of that in my field. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sumit, for sharing the hard-hitting facts on plastic. I think the negative impact of plastic is so diverse. You've just touched upon health impacts, how our urban infrastructure is impacted, marine life. I think it's immense and it's scary. But of course, we need triangulation of effort, and Sumit did say government has its role to play. as a conscious consumer, we also need to think about our behaviors around how we consume plastic, and of course, the businesses, the industry side of it. Now, for the next plenary, may I request Ms. Gayatri Raghava, the Environment Education Consultant at UNEP, to please come on this stage. Ms. Amreen Khan, Program Manager, WWF, on Citizen and Youth Engagement. Mr. Utsav Modi, Program Manager from CEE. Sneha Shahi, our Tight Turner Plastic Champion. And of course, Professor Raman from Shahid Bhagat Singh College. Just to sort of give you an outline of this session we'll focus on how Tight Turner's Plastic Challenge has been working in India, what are the various learnings that we can draw from it, and without any further ado, let's just get into the session. May I request the panelists to just give a short introduction to the audience? We should start with Sneha, the youngest.
Hi everyone, my name is Sneha Shahi and I'm a Tight Turner champion recognized by UNEP, and I wear many hats as a scientist and a conservationist, and right now I'm doing my PhD on rivers and societies and how they co-evolve and sort of see how plastics play a part in it.
I'm Dr. V.A.V. Raman, Associate Professor in Geography at Shahid Bhagat Singh College, and for the past, a decade, I'm heading the Environment Society in the college and making the youth of the undergraduates actually to participate a lot on the environment programs. Thank you.
Hello guys, this is Utsav Modi. I am working as a project officer at the Center for Environment Education. Apart from this, I am also an author of Gujaratini Parampara, a very known book which is based on how Indian traditions, how our parampara can bring the change and how we can brought our own traditions we used to follow. So I am also one of the author of that, and I am looking to have a good conversation over here.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Amreen and I work with WWF India. I manage youth and citizen engagement programs, and one thing I am proud to share is that I've been associated with Tight Turners when I would say, as Sam said, it was born in India in 2019. So I'm here to share my experience.
Hi, I'm Gayatri from UNEP. I've been with the Tight Turners since day one, which is in 2019, working with Ambreen, working with Utsav, working with Raman, and also Sneha, right?
So Gayatri ji, this is an opportune time for you to give like a brief outline of Tight Turners, just very quickly to the audience.
All right, for those of you, how many of you know Tight Turners? Yeah. Can you raise your hand?
By a show of hands, please.
Who has done anything to do with Tight Turners? Yes. All right. So the ones who have not done Tight Turners, for you, just to let you know that, what does the word say? Tight Turner challenge. So it's a challenge. Challenge thrown at youth, right? To say, what are you going to do about the single use of plastic? So how do we run challenge? A challenge is when you give different levels, right? Much like a video game, where you tell them past level 2, how you keep playing, you go up and then you come down and then you fail and you flunk. And that's the same way you learn and then you move ahead, right? So you have 3 levels of challenge that every youth, whoever participates, has to pass through this, right? You can participate as a single use, individual, or you can participate in a group. A group can be anything, right? So once they enter the challenge, the first level of the challenge, the objective of that is first understand the issue and the complexity. Sumit was telling you today about the whole issue of plastic, right? So plastic issue is very complicated. As he was saying sometime back, even when I was growing up, we didn't have plastics. Like I remember even till my university days, if we went to one very hi-fi shops, like very expensive shop, you might get a plastic bag, and that I would keep it under our bed like a very prized possession. And we would only take it to show off to people that I went to this shop because it had that brand in it, right? And that was it. That was the only plastic that ever was there. Now, you go to a sabji wala outside, he'll give you tomato in a plastic, onion in a plastic, lasan in a plastic, everything in a plastic. Whether you buy 250 grams, 100 grams or 2 kilos, right? So you come back with so many plastics, and that's your ready wala. And if you take your bag, he looks at you funnily. And if you don't take your bag, then the aunties start fighting with him to say, I won't buy from your ready, but I will buy from the other ready. He doesn't want to lose. That's one of the complicated things that, Sumit, because the ban is so difficult to work. So plastic issue is complicated. It has not only environmental, but it has a very strong social and an economic connect to it. So understand plastic in the level 1. We set you tasks that you have to pass to understand it so that we know that you got it. The second level is reach out to the community, make a difference, get them into your fold, right? That's the second level. We give you tasks, you pass it, you go to the level 3. And when you come to the level 3, that becomes even difficult because you know in all the video games, when you reach the higher, I think they do it in a way that you don't pass the level 3. So that you start again and again and again and you want to pass it. And that's the idea. So then they come to the level 3 and that's when they have to show concrete change on ground to us. Proof that I made this change. Whether you cleaned up 1 kilo of plastic or you made, say, something else, jhadu out of the plastic. Many people have done it, right? So we have such beautiful stories coming out from rural areas, from urban areas, faraway areas of how plastic can be innovatively reused or recycled, right? That's what they do. Okay? So this is the challenge, and she's already given you numbers. I think the movie already showed you the numbers that we have reached and what we have done. So, as I said, this is evolving. In India, the plastic issue is, the plastic challenge is evolving, becoming more and more challenging every day. To have more and more challenging levels, I think we may come with a version 2 where we may keep level 4 and level 5 challenge as well for you to pass.
Thank you, Gayatri ji, for outlining that. But my question to you is, with so much experience, intense experience in environment education, and like you said, that it's not easy, these challenges are difficult. What makes Tide Turners so unique that it's able to canvas such large support from the youth? It's a complex problem, it's a difficult problem, the challenge is hard, yet we reach such numbers. So what is unique about this program that you get such support?
I have been an environment educator now for I think 44 years. And I've done several environment education programs on all fields and all subjects. What is different about Tide Turner is, it's thrilling for the people who take the challenge and for the people who are running the challenge. I'm sure Ambreen will agree with us, right? It's like a challenge for us also. So we run with the challenge. It's exciting. So all students find it exciting, right? And secondly, youth can participate. You've got the NCC guys there. They're participating within their time schedule. NCC has to do a lot of stuff. Learn marching, shooting, whatever you guys do, right? You learn all of that, and then a little part of their time they also devote to the plastic challenge. And then we have someone like Sneha Shahi, who's now started working on the river, and not only is she working on biodiversity, she also checks the microplastics there in the river that she's doing. So it doesn't leave you. So you've got an academic, you've got an NCC, you've got a rural girl who makes jhadu out of plastic, you've got marginalized children who never go to school. They don't have schools. You know, some NGO or someone catches them and then teaches them for some time. They are working. So it's just open. It's youth-centric. It's from 12 years of age to 35. Now you're wondering, 35 is a youth? Yes, they are. Because what had happened is, we kept on changing, as I said. Many youth who went to work from the Tide Turner Plastic Challenge feel that the workplaces don't have anything. They want to do, they don't want to leave the challenge, and they want to make their workplaces, their corporate offices or whatever it is, there they want to make it plastic free. So you got the youth coming in as well. So it's a large thing, open for all, non-formal, as Sam said it, it's flexible, it's got structure, yet it is flexible within the structure. So we have the objectives, we have the tasks, but you can also innovate a task that fills with the objective. So the idea here is, it gives a freedom for all students. More than ever, as an educator, many of you are educators, what excites students the fact that you're all doing good work. No. Competition. Right? Competition is what excites them, right? So you want to do the competition. And then what do you want? A reward. When I wear that badge, when Sneha wears that badge, she feels proud. They want reward, they want a competition, they want excitement, and they want thrill. If you're going to be telling them environment is getting all bad, all of us have to pull in and work for the environment, yes, for some time I may feel bad, and you can dupe some children, and later on when they grow up, the youth say, you can keep saying bad, but you're not putting, like as Sumit says, you go to the marketplace and you find plastics everywhere. So you're not controlling the system, you get it? Understand
Gayatri ji?
how it works. That's it.
Thank you, Gayatri ji, for that very comprehensive view. Now, from one person who was at the inception of tide turners in India, I want to move to Ambreen. Ambreen, you work with WWF, and it's synonymous with excellence in, environment education and leadership. So my question to you is, what are the organizational learnings that you have drawn with an association with a program like Tide Turners? What do you think works and what has been challenging?
Thank you, Arpan. So, as just Gayatri shared, Tide Turner is a program for young people. And when you say young, what comes to your mind is dynamic and somebody who's vocal, right? And being sitting on the other side of the picture where you're creating a program, it's extremely challenging, to be very honest, but you have to be ready to reinvent the wheel every single time. And how you do that is, you need people with different skills, you need experts with expertise to look at the program from different perspectives. And you have to integrate the feedback, and you have to just keep evolving your program. So I think one of the major learning has been, Arpan, that collaboration works, and collaboration is something which is behind the success of Tide Turner. Not just limited to UNEP and WWF and CE who's doing it in India, but program is running now. It has reached 50 plus countries. So every region we have partners, everybody sits together once in a year, maybe twice, and we are ready to pull up our canvas. We never shy away to what is the current trend, what does the youth want, what is the interest. So we just keep evolving the program that way. So collaboration and the flexibility to integrate the feedback is something which is important. And here I also want to highlight that collaboration just between the implementation partners and UNEP is not enough. I think the success and the scalability the program has reached is attributed to people like state governments. There is Delhi government who has come on board, there is Tamil Nadu government, Bihar government, Maharashtra, and NCC sitting right here in front of us. So these partnerships have supported to take the program to every nook and corner of the country. And again, another coming down to the ground, collaboration is limited to governments and the implementation partners. The program in itself is a collaboration. So when you're reaching out to a vendor, I'm talking about youth, when you're reaching out to a business or a market or a institution, that's also collaboration, because it's a group of people coming together and working towards a cause. So I think collaboration is the key.
Thank you, Ambreen, for underscoring how important collaboration is, why it needs to be constituent-led, this sort of a program, if it needs to evolve. And from that point of collaboration, I will move to the panelist on your left, who is your collaborator and co-conspirator in TTC. Utsav, you are with CEE, and you are the beating heart of this program, right? You are boots on the ground, you implement the program everywhere. Please share your journey of Tide Turners with us. Specifically, what do you think makes, we are in our 5th year, and a program like this can get, as they say, boring. So how do you make sure that this program is not boring, it's innovative? What do you do? Please share.
Thank you, Arpan, and thank you, Gayatri ji and Ambreen, for setting the stage. I would like to add over here, it's like adding to everyone, or we are just welcoming to everyone. As the Gayatri ji said, we are not limited to the school teachers, we are not limited to the students or the college students or the college professors. We are also welcoming to the NCC people, we are also welcoming the corporates, we are also welcoming the marginalized group. And one of the key benefit, or one of the key important things of these challenges is the game based, or we can say is the level 1, level 2, level 3. So how once you finish the level 1, you can go or you can move to the level 2. You can go to the level 3. So this is what it makes it's easy, or it's it's a challenging itself to yourself, to your family member, to your surrounding. So that is a number 1. Second thing I would like to add over here, it's a non-formal education. Like we cannot get everything in our curriculum-based activity, or we cannot get everything from studies, or we can say from books, or we can say from the classroom. So here, it will help. It will also help as a non-formal education, and it will also lead, and it will also change the mindset of the community member. It will also change the mindset of your family member. So these are the two major perspective I would say over here. I can see there is one more thing I would like to add over here, if allowed.
Please.
Now, like for the next generation, what we can do, like for the college professors, or we can say the college students, what we can do. We are also thinking to create a skill-based training program, so that they can also get to know how we can use this plastic, or we can say the collected plastics from several locations, or we can say from hotspot or ecological hotspot area. How we can use that plastics, and we can make something new which can alternate, or which can substitute our existing material which is in other sector as well. So this will, I feel that with the help of course with the WWF, UNEP, will create a unique, or we can create a unique training center to all across Pan India, and we can bring the change. So that is the all.
Thank you, Utsav. And I just want to acknowledge Surbhi and Ashley, who are in the audience. Can you please wave? This is the other bits of, the other walls of the heart. So they also implement the program on ground. And then now, of course, from a non-formal education sector view, we go to Professor Raman, which is the most formal higher education, platform. Sir, you also do the program. You've been running the program at Shahid Bhagat Singh College. And while traditionally, the reason why we've kept it, or the program has been in non-formal education, is so it can sort of encompass the diversity of audience. What are, sir, your observations on running Tide Turner's Plastic Challenge, and how does it sort of become of use to you in a higher education setup, sir?
Thank you, Arpan. Under the formal education, I'd like to just add one here, that from 2014 onwards, the University of Delhi adopted the Supreme Court orders of a course on environment education. And then bring it to the students in one of the semesters in their curriculum. And when it was brought into curriculum, it was completely on a theoretical. They did an optional practical component to that, and slowly over the years, now under the National Education Policy Program, it says environmental science theory to practice. So it has added a lot of practical component to that. But then when it comes to just 2 semesters across 4 years, and you have to learn, so what is there is, it's compulsory to all. So in a formal setup, yes, they do know what is the environmental problems, what are the issues, what is environment really means, and then they learn. But then all of them do not take up it as an activity for themselves to really bring out a change. And there is a set of students who are passionate enough. So that is those who need to, when they go and when they discuss with the other classmates or other people in the society, they will be able to really bring the importance of this change why we are talking about. I think when Gayatri ma'am just told about maybe her childhood, when they moved, when they first plastic bag they saw, and today maybe again back to that alternative. When you have to go think about a cloth bag, because I myself also remember my childhood, a lot of cloth bags were produced. We didn't see so much of plastic everywhere, a single use. But now today it is there, and that's an alternative that came for the other things. So this, not in how to go. So Tide Turner Challenge, 5 phases, my students were involved, and that's a set of students who are really passionate to take up the challenge and work on it. So they did take it up, and the last challenge which was there, yes, because it's a challenge, from one phase to stage to the other stage, they come with the happiness that we have cleared the first stage. Now we are getting to the second stage. What need to be done? What should we go about? Then they take up the work. And when they finish up the second stage, yes, we have cleared that also. Now we are there on that we will finish the third stage and we get a certificate. So that type of pressure that comes on to them to really contribute to work. And in that, because the second, third stage involves community, they first in their own institution with their counterparts, the students, they interact with them, ask them, and then try to bring. The biggest challenge which they have really found is when they talk about single-use plastic, we need to bring a ban, we not to use it, what is the alternative? And when they discuss about the alternative, the cost factor comes, they say it's costly. Then they have to keep telling, let the cost be there, try to accept it, because the harm of using a single-use plastic, how much it is. Talking about the microplastic, everything. So those who are really passionate to it will know all the problems. So they discuss that with the university. So they are slowly able to bring the change. But that's a big challenge because yes, they do. And this is only possible on non-formal. Because in the formal they do learn, they say, but they don't think too much on that. But in the informal they are able to think much. And with that they are able to bring the change. So they are able to talk to the other in the society, bring different, even from their own students who are passed out, how they incorporate it. So because I am running a society, the environment society in the college, the students are connected from those who passed earlier. And when they talk to them, they say that how we have gone out and we have shared these views. So they also get a little idea on that. So these are some of the things that is there. A lot of challenge, lot to be done. But yes, a step is there. And I think Titan Challenge is one that will give them a hope to really work on that.
Thank you, Professor Raman. You were speaking about agents of change, the fact that tide turners engenders this, it's in the core DNA of the program. So taking it to its logical, champion at the end, it's Sneha Shahi. You joined TTPC as an undergraduate student. You were studying, and I think you were studying Bachelor's of Science?
Environmental science.
Environmental science, correct. And that was in 2020. And you have 2019. You have been TTPC's ambassador through the years, right? You're now pursuing your PhD in restoring river ecosystems. What has been your journey with this initiative, not only in terms of raising your environment conscience, but if you could also shed light on how it has impacted your coming of age? How has it sort of led to the life that you now are doing? So how has it been a catalyst in your life?
Yeah, thank you, Arpan, for that question. And definitely, Tide Turners is the kind of platform that takes you places. Like, I get the opportunity to sit right here with such esteemed people and interact with everybody, learn from them and take the knowledge out there to more younger people. So it started out actually at the CE Ahmedabad office with the first workshop that happened over there for teachers and students training. And we had a whole day workshop where we played games about plastic, played videos about plastic, had role-playing activities, did a sort of life cycle assessment that we generally do in practical lab. But we only looked at plastics at that point. So teachers, students, everybody was so engaged in the challenge that they wanted to do more and learn more. So we started with 7 students in my university.
Wow.
And within a month, we had 300 students in the university who had registered for it. And then all of them working together on waste management. The university did come on board with it. We got to go around on 2nd October in 2019, all across Vadodara district and, survey people from every walk of life. Not just vendors, but also policemen, traffic police officers, what they think about it, because they see plastics lying on the road every day. So we got to every stakeholder possible. And the answers were shocking that people did want to do something about it. But as Sir mentioned, there's not much economic options to switch, right? So then came about the question of how are we going to solve this? While we were trying to understand all the economics of plastics and the life cycle assessment, we happened to pass upon on this stream in the university. Again, as Sam told, bringing back of the crocodiles, that took us 2 years. The challenge that we did, and I proposed as a report to Tide Turners in the first phase in 2019, got me the champion title. But we did not stop there, and even throughout COVID, we kept monitoring the stream for plastics. and 10 students who just stood by my side all throughout these years and helped me clean the stream sort of gave me the, empowerment that I would require. And all this because there was a platform to structure my thoughts. So as Tide Turners is as structured as it goes. But if you bring in your own ideas into it, that's where you shine and you show how much on-ground action you can create. So then definitely programs such as this, which are the nexus between formal and informal education, are required to mobilize more youth and communities all across India and the world.
Thank you, Sneha. You remind me of that nice Urdu couplet which says, "गुल से लिपटी हुई तितली को हिला के दिखाओ, ए आंधियों तुमने दरख्तों को गिराया होगा." You are so passionate. It's so, I get very emotional every time I listen to you. Anyways, without any further ado, thank you. I want to thank my panel for shedding light on Tide Turners, how it works. And may I please request, I'm sorry, audience. We will have a question and answer at the end of the session. We are a little short of time, so I'm just going to quickly invite Kaushik and Sumit to please come on stage. Kaushik Chandrasekhar also works with UNEP. He is an expert at plastic. Sorry, Kaushik, the stage is all yours. We are running a little behind schedule. Wait, So at the panel today, joining us online is Miss Anita Shankar. Anita Shankar is the founder of Astu Eco, a company committed to sustainability and environmental consciousness. Anita has steered Astu Eco towards offering a remarkable range of earth-friendly products. She also deals in groundbreaking digital ID platform to revolutionize landscape of climate action and circularity. We have with us Rumit Walia. Hi Rumit, can you come to the stage? Thank you. Rumit is a staunch environmentalist. While he was at school, he displayed outstanding leadership and led Tears of the Earth. This is his not-for-profit, and which aims to inspire youth to work for a greener, cleaner, less polluted and peaceful planet. We also have with us Sonal. Sonal, are you joining us online?
Yes.
Okay. Sonal is an MTech in Electronics and Communications from NIT Kurukshetra. She works in Core Tech company for a year, where she gained the skill set of product development and management. Currently, her mission is to educate people about environmental issues and to support women founders in their entrepreneurial journey. We have with us Nehal Kanvikadi. Have I got your last name right? My apologies. Neha?
Neha Naikwade.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neha.
That's all right. Yeah.
See, my name is Arpan. It's always okay. My apologies. Neha, could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. I am Neha Naikwade. I started off as a mechanical engineer, and I'll quickly skip to what I do right now after 7 years of that. I work with an NGO called Climate Collective Foundation. We support early stage climate tech startups, and so far with my team, we've been able to support more than 860 startups in India and have mobilized $160 million in funding, and all of these towards climate tech startups, including startups from EV, CCUS to circular economy, plastic, agriculture, etc. I'll stop at that.
Thank you, Neha. I think without any delay, Kaushik, let's just get into the session.
Thank you, Arpan. Thank you so much for those introductions, and very good afternoon once again, and welcome again to this panel 2 on green jobs. Thank you for sitting through this session, and a warm welcome to all the panelists, all of them who are here on stage as well as who are available online. So I'll also like to welcome my fellow moderator, Dr. Sumit Sharma, on the stage. Sumit, there has been so much buzz about sustainability and environment in the past 2 days. So could you please share your thoughts on why we are having this panel There's also so much talk about the science and education and policy that we had prior to this. How does this panel kind of bridge that gap, and how would we be able to help our students sitting here from the outcomes of this panel?
Thank you, Kaushik. And when the previous panel was more focused on TTPC, and I spoke about the science of the issue. So we thought taking advantage of the kind of audience we have here, the youth, the people who are involved with youth, let's talk about what kind of job opportunities this sector can provide, and how we can build career in this, within this sector, in resolving this issue and contributing to the global and national cause. So jobs, why do we do that? We basically want an economic stability, we want social security, some people have their retirement plans, some people get sense of pride, and some get sense of satisfaction. I think this sector, and I'm right now talking about the whole environment sector, is ready to provide all of these things to the people who are wanting to get into this sector. If we talk about environment, it can, if we divide our economy, it can be divided into three parts. The primary sectors like agriculture, the secondary sectors like manufacturing, and the third is tertiary sectors. Among all the three economic parts of this of the economy, you can have green jobs which can make these sectors greener and greener and cleaner over a period of time. Agriculture, there's a huge demand for conserving water. Agriculture is a sector which takes 85% of the total water used in the country. A lot of it we know gets wasted. There's a huge industry which is working towards drip irrigation, and how the overall water demand in the sector can go down. There's an industry which is talking about organic farming, how we can go away from chemical fertilizers to more organic, more natural ways of growing things. Manufacturing sector, huge opportunities in reducing the carbon footprints of the industry, reducing the emission footprints, reducing the water pollution which comes out of the industries. And of course, tertiary sector through its services, through the digital systems which you can develop to control emissions, to develop technologies for measuring pollution is a big thing which they can provide. Now, I've just made a list of places where people can be employed, and I think this is just it's not an exhaustive list. People can get into science to understand this problem, to make people understand from where the pollution is coming, how it can be resolved. People can get into advocacy. That's the job. Someone said this, youth are more vocal. You need to be more vocal. You need to be the advocates of environmental issues to the government and to the agencies which are responsible. Policy analysis, that's a huge industry developing in India on the environmental issue, where you can develop, suggest new policies to the policymakers, and also analyze the effects of these policies on the environment. You can think about becoming a community mobilizer, and I would say Gayatri ji is one of the youth community mobilizer, and that's a job she is doing. You can talk about trainers, environmental trainers. I talked about the capacity concerns. We need good trainers to tell people how to manage plastic waste, how to measure microplastics concentrations on the ground, on the water. And the last thing which comes to my mind is financial mobilization. There are number of financial institutes which are coming, which are offering job opportunities to sort of disperse money which can be used for mitigation of plastic pollution or any kind of pollution in the country. I'll just share a small anecdotal experience from my own personal life. I wanted to be, this is 1998 when Sachin Tendulkar was on his peak. And I also, like any other kid in this country, I also wanted to be a cricketer. Soon I realized my limitations. And I started preparing for engineering. At the counseling at Delhi College of Engineering, I had two choices, civil engineering and environmental engineering. That was the first batch when environmental engineering as the bachelor's level was initiated in DC. And I would not say I was passionate about environment at that point of time. Just I thought this sector could be a new innovative one which is going to open several windows in the future. And that is the time I opted for environmental engineering over civil engineering. And I would say I have not regretted that decision after that. Although I need to work in the sewage treatment plants and I lost my smelling sense after that. But I realized that, contributing to something like a National Clean Air Program of India, which I can say is trying to save millions of lives in this country, is something which gives me immense satisfaction. And I'm sure more than the money, more than anything else, the sense of satisfaction which you get in this sector is I don't think you're going to get in any other sector. So I'll stop there, Kaushik. But because I shared my story, I would love to know your story. You are a bit junior to me, but I would love to know how you got into this field and what motivated you to, hold on to this sector.
Well, Sumit, I think just taking cue from where you left, I started off, graduating from BITS Pilani, and I was a part of the electronics and instrumentation field. But happened to be that I did my final year project the final project was to do with biodiesel conversion from cooking oil. So I got picked up by a startup immediately from that, and post which this was more of a chance than an informed decision that I've been a part of this sector. But post my masters and having environmental management done and my journey through waste management and plastic waste management, it's been more of an informed choice. So, it started off as a chance and then you realize the tremendous opportunities that are there as a part of this sector. So just to give you an insight, you spoke about the various opportunities as a part of the environment sector. Looking at the plastic waste management, just the waste management sector, the kind of opportunities that are there are tremendous, starting off from just policy advocacy, from just research. We had researchers on the dais some time back. Being a researcher, being a policy advocate, you can also talk of being a part of a waste management facility itself. Multiple waste management facilities coming out, MRFs, material recovery facilities, which are coming out. You can also become entrepreneurs. We have a number of entrepreneurs on board here. So with this, Sumit, I would maybe want to just dwell into the discussions for the day. I'd like to invite the panelists once more. I request them to within a minute, very briefly introduce themselves and what they're doing so that we can take the discussions ahead. Maybe we could start with Pranav.
Yes, so this side Pranav, and I am into the development of decentralized waste management technology system, where we are implementing the technology stuff at clusters of villages or at the tourist levels, and how that waste can be converted into these recycled products. That's our major chunk that we are focusing in. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranav. Rumit?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. I am the manager for youth initiatives with the Network India. We have a team sitting here, and in fact, I would like to say that our theme for next year is Planet versus Plastic. I mean, this only shows how big the plastic problem is. And I personally is working in the sector of green economy, how we can actually promote the ideas that we have at the college level. I mean, many of you, even I had few ideas at my college level, but we never go about them. So to promote these ideas so that they can contribute to the green economy and eradicate plastic from the planet is I'm working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Rumit. Sonal, maybe we could unmute yourself and introduce. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, hi. Just for the tradition, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Sonal, co-founder of Econsys, which is a social impact startup working in plastic waste management domain. So what we essentially do is we collect the waste plastic, process it, and make different kinds of products out of that. One of them is this, which is the planter made from waste plastic. So that's what we do.
Thank you, Sonal. Neha, we could have you next, please.
Sure. I already spoke about Climate Collective Foundation, who I work with, but majorly I focus on designing and implementing acceleration programs. Basically, any startups out there who can help us solve the problem of climate change, I help them scale and get into the market as soon as possible. And especially since I come from the data science background, I do so more for the startups who use data technologies.
Right. Thanks. Thank you, Nekha. Maybe we can go to Anita next. Anita.
Hi, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Anita Shankar, and I'm the founder of Astu Eco. We make sustainable alternates to single-use plastics and fast fashion. We've been there for a while and have faced very interesting challenges, and have also been applauded with some very good awards. National Geographic Award is one of them. I think through our journey, we've realized products is one side of it, but we need to look at how do we go deeper into the problem and understand how can we come up with circularity, and hence our latest, which is EcoTrace Digital ID, which looks at impact measurement and connecting different stakeholders to make a circular economy. Our aim is to see if we can be a large part of India's ambition in decreasing GHG emissions.
Thank you, Anita. Since you finished last, I want to start with you. You're doing some very interesting work. I realize that, you're dealing with recycled plastic products. This is something that is gaining a lot of significance and limelight, considering there's so much emphasis on single-use plastics. And you could call it much needed awareness. It's time that we realize there are alternatives which are available, and we have to take action on ground. How did you get this idea of taking this up commercially, and how can the youth over here emulate such ideas? Here you're trying to make an impact to the environment, at the same time also making a livelihood out of it.
Yeah. So when we started Astuico, it was with a very ambitious intent of ridding our world with, from single-use plastics. I think one of the first suggestions to the youth out there would be to have a realistic goal which you can achieve. Of course, you should have larger dreams, but yes, break it into dreams that you can achieve. And through our journey, I think we've always been very deeply entrenched in understanding this whole life cycle of plastic and its products, the psyche of consumers, businesses. And we've realized one thing. I feel that plastic is absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt about it. The problem lies from where it comes, which means it's coming from a natural resource, which is going to finish very soon. The problem lies at where it ends, which is the end of life management. And as humans, we've been incapable of handling the end of life management of plastics, and that is where the problem comes in. And also, I feel that as a civilization, we've moved forward in the sense, we'll not be able to unlearn the beauty of plastic. So we have to understand that this is the place that we are in, and with this place, what is it that we can do going forward, right? So if you look at the existing picture, we have this whole enormous lot of single-use plastic that's being produced and it's been coming into the environment. And on the other side, we have to figure about one point in time where natural resource will be emptied or banned, and we will not have plastics anymore. What do we do then? So the bigger problem currently that we are looking at is this huge amount of plastics that's already there. And like all the earlier panelists were talking about, right, it's a very complex field. It's not so simple as taking some plastic and looking at what we can do with it. Design thinking is a critical part of it. For example, we have a product which is called as a tote scarf, which got us onto the Lakme Fashion Week Circular Design Challenge. And why? Because of the design of the product. Primarily, it's just a bag, a reusable bag, which helps people not to forget to carry a reusable bag. But the design of this is, if you look at recycling plastic, ideally it needs to be mono-material. It's easier to collect, and then look at, again, the possibility of recycling, right? If you have mixed material, it's a problem. If you have different kinds of, let's say, fabrics like cotton and plastic that's mixed, again, it's a problem in terms of segregation, removing. So in terms of design, while people are making these products itself, we need to understand, can we look at making it mono-material? Not have zips, not have something else. So it's easier for people to dismantle and put it into the second round of recycling. So this product had just PET bottles which were converted into pellets and converted into yarns and made into fabrics. So it has another potential line of becoming circular. Somewhere else it can become circular again. So one of the points that I would definitely want our youngsters out there to think about is, this design thinking is really critical. You need to look at the entire supply chain, like how Sumit and everybody else were talking. It's a complex place. So we need to first really understand this entire chain, which is what I think Tide Turners is doing, where we need to really go into the problem. For example, labeling is a big challenge, right? If you have 10 different types of plastic, how do you know what plastic is it? How do you know if it can be recycled? So labeling itself is a big challenge, and that is another area of entrepreneurial ventures that people can think of. Or ability to measure, because what gets measured gets managed, and today it's all a chaos. We know nobody knows what is happening where. So ability to manage, firstly measure. So to measure, we need some kind of a system, some kind of a technology. So those are critical things that I think the youth can look at to see how can we move it to the next level. And that's how we got into looking at recycling, and at a very design thinking level. It's not just recycle anything and come out with anything. But if this product is there, if this is the raw material after we have got it into our hand, what can it become? Secondly, there has to exist a need. You can make a beautiful moon out of this plastic and float it into the earth, but you will not make a penny. Firstly, whatever product we make, there has to be a need. That means somebody needs to pay a penny to get it. And that's the first critical point. Once you have established that need, then you do that design thinking. Figure out what are the different things that can come together to solve this problem and still remain sustainable through the entire chain. So these are some of the points I think I would be definitely telling people. Primarily looking at the entire chain, mono-material ideally. How do we look at segregation? How do we look at labeling? How do we measure things? How do we get metrics out of this? How can I say tomorrow, for example, that I have decreased X amount of carbon footprint in a real time? So that is what technology, that's where technology can come in, like EcoTrace. For example, it will give personal impact metrics to people in terms of how much plastic they've decreased, how much carbon footprint they've decreased. It will give the same thing to businesses and help them connect to circularity enablers like recyclers, upcyclers. How do we look at turning this entire linear thing into a circular one? And that's a huge challenge, and there's plethora of opportunities for the youngsters. I think studying it is the first step, which is what Tide Turners is helping you with. Then we have the other organizations here who help you with incubation, making your ideas better, fail fast, I would say, make your prototypes fail fast and take it to the next level. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you for that. I think you bring up a couple of very important points. One is the design of the products that are getting into the market, and the second was the end of life management. Now, even a typical PET bottle that you find, the PET bottle, recycling it becomes such a challenge because you have different components in the same PET bottle. You have a PET bottle itself, and then the cap is made of PP, your labels are made of PVC. So the PET bottle as such cannot go into the recycling facility. So there has to be manpower that's deployed on it to kind of segregate it. And that is the kind of effort that goes behind, a single PET bottle being recycled. Thank you, Anita.
Kaushik, we always talk about entrepreneurship, and there's a wave these days that, people should be promoted to be entrepreneur. Rumit has, this is what I've heard from Rumit only, that what is an earth, what do you call that? Earthpreneurs. And you are one of those, I believe, and you want to promote this concept. I would love to know how you think the, present generation of youth can adopt these kind of things, and what are the advantage this brings on the table in comparison to the normal entrepreneurship we see.
All right. So I'll just ask every one of you, how many of you have plastic with you right now? Can I have a show of hands? So the people who haven't raised their hands, for the people who are watching spectacles, you have plastic with you. And for the people, ID cards, in fact, a little plastic. If not ID cards, you have mobile covers, right? Phone covers, maybe pen, maybe something else, maybe polyester. So plastic is everywhere, literally everywhere. I recently heard about that around 79 microplastic particles have been found in 1 liter of snow in Mount Everest, which is the highest peak. And in the ocean also, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is around 1.6 million square kilometers. So that is the fight we all need to we are in. And I very agree with Ms. Gayatri ji, how she mentioned this is why we need these competition and challenges, because what happens if I speak about these facts everywhere, you will get plastic anxiety. Now this is a new term. We had anxiety, we had eco anxiety, now we have plastic anxiety. It is literally everywhere that we are somewhere we get anxious how will I ever eradicate plastic from my life. It started with the King Midas story, right? Everything turned into gold. Now we are realizing that this is not actually useful. So this program that I conceptualized, and it is now in the 3rd phase. It's called Young Earthpreneurs Awards. Now why Earthpreneurs? Because these are the people who are actually working for Earth. And we started this to commemorate the 2022 Earth Day, which is on 22nd April every year. And this Earthpreneurs talks about, which I was mentioning, the ideas that college students and recent graduates have when they are in college. They're very passionate. They are aware about these issues. They want to do something about this, but they have literally no idea. How do I start a company? Is the idea really valuable? And I'll give you an example on that. I will not take the name of the brand, but you will know. There's a brand who delivers in 10 minutes, right? They have done a great job. I mean, in terms of business, I'm talking, entrepreneurship, I'm talking. You get these things in a package, like it's a cardboard or it's a paper package, which is very good. But again, as Gayatri ma'am again mentioned, the potatoes and onions you get in plastic nets. So this is the impact that businesses have in our lives. If we can somehow tell that, or if someone college graduate or somebody come up with an innovation, ki rather than those plastic nets, maybe jute nets, maybe something else, we can that brand can use, and we will actually be transforming a whole generation. And it's on this spot, right? When we teach, I mean, education is very important, and we do that, and we need to do that. But when we do things in business which are actually running the world, it transforms the world within seconds. Another example, a brand which started, paper straws. Now, next time when you drink something, like there are several things that they do, they have several steps on the back. We started with introducing Tetra Packs, then this brushes, and the next step is to actually also resolve this issue of straw coming in the plastic package. But I think it's been 10 years, they have no solution. So for the people who have these solutions, we have these awards. What we do, we invite entries, simple, it's an open, and the third phase is opening, like right now we want to announce it. And you just fill in an entry, it's an idea based challenge. You really don't have to have a prototype. We will help you get into the prototype. We'll help you with a little bit of prize money. We have amazing mentors with us. We have boot camps. I mean, we recently had the KPMG boot camp, helped us in the first, and one person is actually sitting right here, Devanshu, if you'll stand up. So he is one of the Young Earthpreneurs awardees, and he had an idea of that he will use storytelling rather than Johnny Johnny yes papa. He will tell plastic plastic no papa to students, and he is doing that, and now he is earning out of that. Schools are paying him. So people who have these ideas to actually contribute to green economy while in the college, I mean, why don't we just give it a try? We cannot like just don't even try about it. So we provide assistance, we promote these ideas at college and recent graduate level. The first one was a general green idea. The second was one as niche as we can go, was sustainable fashion, in which we received very less entries, but they are very good entries. The results will be announced soon. And the third one that we are launching, in fact today I'm announcing it, will be businesses or startups or ideas versus plastics. Planet versus plastics is the theme, but it's we versus plastics, schools versus plastic. I mean, UNEP, UNESCO, UN offices versus plastics, youth versus plastic. That is what we have to do right now. It's happening in front of our eyes. We consume around 5 grams of microplastic in a week. Scientific studies show that it is equivalent to a credit card. We carry 1 or 2 credit cards, but we eat 1 credit card every week. So it is happening. Fisher folk communities, I mean, again, from mountains to deep oceans, everywhere you will see plastic. But if it is not, I mean, taken as a very important issue right now, and from the business perspective, where you can be the, the business, the future of our country, we will be in trouble. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, this is very interesting. You know, we spoke of entrepreneurs, we're speaking of earthpreneurs now. It's also important to understand how entrepreneurship works, how business models work. May I request Neha, Neha, setting up the right startup, right from the point of ideation to raising funds. It takes a lot of effort behind the screens, right? So if you can maybe share with our youth here as to how this process works and what does it take for entrepreneurs to kind of, raise money, to, set up, incubation happening, for a single idea. Yeah, thanks.
Right. Sure. Thank you. Thank you for giving me opportunity to talk on especially this topic here. I've been working with entrepreneurs for more than 2.5 years now, and I just noted out some points that I wish someone would have told me early on so that my journey would have been better. And I'll just share those right now. So the very first step to this is mindset, right? A lot of us already echoed this point here. Don't try to solve one spot problem or one point problem. Try to understand, is that solving the real problem at the core, right? And ask yourself what else can be done to solve. For example, just cleaning the beaches is not enough. Someone said that enough. I think that was Sumit or Sam early on, right? But where is this plastic going after you clean it from the beach? If we are cleaning it in Odisha, some of them are just dumping it in a big hole, and from there the microplastics seep out, right? Is that really solving it? No. What can be done, right? So keep asking that till you actually arrive to an innovative solution, right? So try, instead of solving a spot problem, try and build a mindset of figuring out if it is really solving the problem at the core. Keep asking yourself if it is really solving it and arrive at that innovative idea, right? A lot of money right now is being poured into climate innovation. India's back in 2015, India hardly received, I think, 50 million in funding for climate tech startups, and it has grown 20 times in last 5 years itself, right? So there is money, but you need to figure out the right business model for it. Now, being youth, what happens is there's so many ideas, but we never pursue it. Pick one, don't give up on that, and start working on it, right? The best time to experiment is in college. So if you are in college, there are many kind of support that you can get. The incubators in your college, there are grant funding that is specifically for students out there. So you can leverage all of these opportunities to build on your idea, right? So that's step one. Step two is your idea can't just be a social idea, right? Someone said, Anita said that it has to benefit someone monetarily. Otherwise, it won't sell, right? And selling doesn't mean it can't be social. Your idea can be social, but at the same time, it could be monetarily benefiting someone who can generate those pennies to fund you. And I can say this because I've seen 800 other startups in India who could do this, right? A startup used one of the student teams of mine from the hackathon that we recently ran, used blockchain to figure out how we can bring transparency to the whole informal waste collection system in India, right? And now there are brands who are ready to pay them to show how much X product of theirs is emitting, so that the consumers have that visibility. And the consumers are ready to buy products that have lower emissions, right? So this is a simple solution that can solve so many problems, giving end consumer the visibility. But it has to benefit someone monetarily in the end. Who is it benefiting here? The brand here is able to sell more product because that startup can show how much of an emission is that product making, encouraging the end customer to buy a product with a lower CO2 emission, right? It might sound complex, but if you keep asking yourself, you try to build that mindset and keep asking yourself, is this really solving it? Why aren't eco-friendly products selling enough, right? Probably the end customer is not aware of it. And that team answered this question by asking why again and again. And this is how they resolved it, right? So try and build a business model around it. Again, once you have the business model, we already echoed a lot of design thinking principles here, so I won't get into the details of those. But in your early stages, there are lots of grants available. Lots of grants for women founders, lots of grants for student founders, youth out there, right? All you need to do is find an innovative solution. And these grants are sitting right there to be given out. And you'll be surprised, you will say that there's no money, no one is paying us to do this work. There is money, it's just that it is available only for people who can actually show X number of GHGs being reduced, right? So if you can show that, measure that, if you can show that through your business model, you will get that grant easily, I promise. And if you're not able to find it, come to me. I'll be more than happy to help you find it. That's my job, basically. Okay. And then after that, once you have your products ready, you can take advantage of all these accelerators being out there. So what does an accelerator do? They help them take your product from your lab to market. From your very first sales, they help you scale. There are different kind of accelerators out there which are suitable for different stages of startups. I won't get into the details of those, but there are many climate accelerators that are coming out, and these are more often focused on domain, right? You will see an EV accelerator, you will see an accelerator only for circular economy startups, you will see someone for adaptation resilient startups, right? So you need to find where your product fits and apply for the right accelerator. Then after that, of course, there's a lot of funding. I would say that we need to make sure that we meet the Paris goal as soon as possible, right? So try and, as soon as your MVP is ready, start thinking of raising funds. You can think of bootstrapping if your unit economics is good, but if not, there are angels out there who can help you, the VCs, and you can also think of crowdsourcing. There's a lot of debt funding also available now at lower interest rates, especially to climate tech startups, right? Because World Economic Forum recently declared that this is becoming more of a focus now. All right, so that's about funding. And then after that, of course, there's deployment support. This is a tricky one. All you need to do is network, and your network can help you do that, right? I would just like to highlight here, this is the kind of ecosystem support we build at Climate Collective Foundation. We have Climate Startup School for early stage founders who just have an idea and don't know how to get their startup started. So you can register, for that, and we'll help you through that. We have early stage acceleration support through our Climate Ready program for youth and women. And then we have post MVP to deployment stage, 4-stage accelerator to help you grow and scale. And then beyond that, we also have some capital initiators where we help you with grants. It's called Climate Pitch. The another one is Climate Seeders Club, where a couple of early stage retail investors would come in and invest in your startup. These are angels. Then we have Climate Tech Investment Network, where we have more than 150 VCs in our network who we provide regular deal flows to. So if your startup is MVP ready, you can approach and we can put you on one of these pitch days where these VCs come and you could, take the conversation ahead with those VCs. And then we have Climate Seeds Fund, which is our own fund that we're trying to raise. It is South Asia's first early stage seed fund. So please do take advantage of all of these things that we are trying to do at Climate Collective Foundation. And yep, that's it about the question. But I would also like to quickly add to Sumit's list of green jobs. My startups out there literally need people beyond education in environment science to help them, right? So if you're a person who has expertise in marketing and zero connection to environment, you can still find a job with these climate tech startups, right? And that becomes a green job as long as it's the right job, right? So there are jobs out there for people not even from this sector, but if you find the right organization who needs your skills, find the right organization in the climate space who needs your skills, your job becomes a green jobs, and every small effort of yours help us in meeting the goal. Yeah. Okay, I'll stop at that and happy to
Thank you, Neha. A lot of technicalities, to absorb in a single session, but what is heartening is that for the youth, it's very important to act on your idea. That's the most important takeaway from the session. And for the rest of the, background work, I think we have people like Neha available here. We can reach out to. There's a whole support system that is available for the youth to reach out to. So I think it's very important to act on your idea.
Thank you, Neha. I think avenues are opening up to help, to support, to engage. Kaushik, a lot of people ask me that we want to, collect plastics within our own households, communities, but we don't know what to do with that after that. And there are no agencies which are, on call available to collect it and send it to a right kind of facility to get it properly recycled. But fortunately, now we have people who are coming up and taking these kind of jobs. And I'm telling you, with EPR system getting functional, these kind of things will become even more prominent in the times to come. And we are fortunate enough to have with us one of those, Ms. Sonal Shukla, who is doing this, this kind of service to the society, and they are into, collecting segregated plastic waste from the communities and do the proper processing of this afterwards. Sonal, all yours for next 5 minutes.
Thank you so much for having me here. So, as like sometime back, Kaushik sir mentioned about the challenges involved in the segregation part. Like if the PET bottle that you see, the PET bottle is one type, the cap is different type, this thing is different type of plastic. So I think in complete plastic waste management supply chain, the segregation is the topmost challenge for every kind of organization, the manufacturer or the person who is making the packaging or the end consumer. Like you mentioned, that there are people who are so segregating, but they are not able to find the right source to give that kind of plastic waste. So the segregation definitely is the topmost challenge, and how we are providing solution to deal with that particular problem is by creating awareness around source segregation, because we believe that not just the dry and wet, but also in dry there are separate different types of dry waste, and also in particularly plastic there are 7 different types of plastics. We need to create those kind of awareness. We need to do some sort of education around the youth as well as the general households, corporates, anywhere, to particularly educate them about those sort of plastic, and then how the proper source segregation should be done at source locations, so that we can increase the rate of recycling that is happening. The recycling rate is lower because the proper segregation is not happening at the source, and it gets mixed up with the organic waste, and then it is very, very hard to recycle it. So how we are doing it? We are doing these awareness campaign. We are doing these drives. We are collaborating with a lot of NGOs and clubs and these kind of organizations who can help us. They can put our message forward to different kinds of stakeholders, and that's how we are creating awareness about that. And then we have this system in place. Once people who are source segregating, they can go to our website and they can place a request for the source segregated plastic waste to be picked up. And in Delhi NCR region, we are providing these pickups. We are doing this in a frequency basis, like month or so. So once you have some sort of 5 or 7 kg of plastic, you can place the request, and then we'll come and we'll pick it up. And then as we have our manufacturing unit here, we process the collected plastic waste into different kinds of products out of that. So that's what we essentially do in terms of segregation and the plastic recycling. Now, segregation itself is a challenge. Mainly coming from the startup point of view, we always have a very limited resources, very small team, very limited resources in terms of monetary terms. So we sort of sometimes struggle on that, but we have been very fortunate enough from the end customer side or end consumer side, who are people who are so segregating, that they are very, very cooperative, in the sense that sometimes they drop their plastic waste to our facility, or sometimes they sort of engage with the people who are locally located in one area, so they collect at one place and then we collect it from there. And also these engagements with schools, colleges, there are so many clubs who are our partners who sort of do these drives in their local area, in their school, colleges, and they collect at one place and then we collect it from there. So those are the kind of, I think, help that we are getting, and the process that we are taking place. One thing I would like to Mariwala, the rackpickers, I would say, who do not know the technicalities of these plastic types in terms of like what plastic type 1 is or 2 is or 3 is, but they do understand the traditionally like which type of plastic has more value. So they sort of segregate based on that, but the segregation is happening.
Okay, there seems to be.
So I think they are very, very they play very prominent role in the complete solution. Am I not audible?
Yes, we lost you for a moment, Sonal, but you can continue.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry for the glitch. I was mentioning that these kabadiwala aggregators or drag pickers who collect the plastic from the source location, they do not understand this thing from the technical point of view, but they do sort of contribute a lot in the complete supply chain, where they understand the value that is involved in one particular type of plastic, and they segregate based on that. So that helps us a lot in terms of also engaging them as one of the stakeholders in the complete this thing. And to answer your question about the how we are particularly involving the youth in this whole source segregation or the plastic recycling thing that we are doing. We, as I already mentioned, that we partner with these clubs.
Sorry to interrupt, Sonal. You'll have 30 seconds to wrap up your comments. Sorry, Sonal.
Sure. So there are multiple types of modes of engagement. Volunteering is one thing. We provide internship to youth for working with us in terms of social media engagement or different profiles are there. And because we feel that youth has very a strong feel towards environment. That's what I have understood in this 2-3 years of operation. That they are very vocal about it, and they are the perfect stakeholder to involve in these type of startups, I think. And yeah, with that I would end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonal. Next, we move on to Pranav. Pranav, you've been working with a range of products to enable recycling. It's anybody's dream to kind of help the urban local bodies to promote this process of recycling it. Right from baling machines to pressing machines. You have a number of machineries that have been manufactured from your end. Could you please take us through your journey of where you started from a mechanical engineer and now you've gone through this?
Yes, so what I am seeing right now, and with the related to your question, is that all the panelists have already shared what needs to be done, and you can consider this as a case study for it. And so it's an opportunity for you to join or take the project of biofuel mechanism or biodiesel. But for me, it is a choice that I've received this opportunity same as Tide Turner in 2017, which is from the MHRD, which is the Human Resource Development Department under the Swachh Bharat Mission. We have took this opportunity to spread just awareness in the village area and spend around 100 hours in 1 month or two to spread the waste management awareness to the villagers. At that time, what we have done is by going through this process, we have took around 9 months to make people aware of this, and at that point of time we have just stuck on the pain point. So if there is a choice or there is a pain point, for me it's a pain point of plastic. Now how come? So there is one step well which is right now very well known to this city area in Ahmedabad, and at that time it was not that much heritage look to it, and so that people are throwing their waste to the step well. We have cleaned and we have got around 800 kilo of plastic from them step well. So what we are trying at that time was to just make people aware, to develop some policy. That's why we have reached to archaeological department. We have networked with them. We have asked them to put some fees over there, and then they have restructured, redeveloped it, and it got the renown, and then the case is solved. But the pain point is that if 800 kg is just dumped in one step well, think of all the villages that we are seeing in the India. And not just in India, in Gandhinagar itself, which is the capital of Gujarat, we are having around, say, in 1 billion ton dumping at the pond. And to tackle this, how we can come up with a solution, and that's where I got this pain point to give the solution or to come up with the solution, start working on it, then work on this project, develop some compact machines, projected to the startup incubators like this, and then it got approved, it worked. Then what next? Let's launch the startup as a business venture or something to earn some good. But at that time also, what is my bottom line? So I got an opportunity to learn towards the social entrepreneurship side. And at that point of time, my professor or guide asked me, if you get no food to eat for next 6 months, would you be able to share your idea or vision to the audience? And that what's the bottom line mean to me, that if pain point is that much higher, do not care for what people are thinking about you, what people throwing to you, or what people are expecting from you, even it's family or friends or anyone else, and just keep going on that part. And from that part we have developed this technology right now, which is even the problem is much higher. So I'm saying that someone mentioned about Mount Everest issue. So we have worked with a Nepal NGO that we have installed this technology to recycle the waste at base camp of Mount Everest, and they are now making products out of it. This is the one case. Second case is that one just you can say like me, the guy in the UK is running Carva over there. Now he is installing this compact machine in his Carva to make people aware what plastics can do with this. Another one example that I want to share is we are just sharing this all the things over there, and we have got connected with University of Sharjah. They have got invited me to speak on what these all challenges are being there, what we can do, and then they have just placed these machines over there to teach their design students about how and what kind of product they can even make out of recycled products. So if Sonal can do in Delhi, why someone can't in Sharjah can't do? So this is the global problem, and we have to work globally. So it's like we have to think globally and act locally at our place and spread our words. That's what I am saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranav. With this, we come to an end to the panel round. Maybe we could open the dais for some questions from the audience, please.
If there are any questions for any of the panelists across
ma'am.
the two
Yes,
sessions.
please.
I'm Neela Majumdar, also with Earth Day Network. Because we are a network, and I was so inspired by your talk. Rohit told you about the Young Earthpreneurs Awards. I run something for young children, which is Digital Earthreel, where they make environmental films. And we would love to partner with you also, that the students are inspired to make environmental films, as solutions for your Tide Turners Challenge.
Sure, thank you.
So
I
we'd
think
love
we'll
to
exchange.
partner with you
Yes,
for this.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Arpan, how are we doing in time?
We have about 5 minutes tops.
I wanted to ask like the question about green jobs. We discussed so much, but we do not have like specific, dedicated courses till date in colleges or any formal, education system. Previously, in the previous panel, sir from Shahid Bhagat Singh mentioned that DU has kind of made it mandatory to study environmental science. But honestly, as a student from DU, we students do not take it seriously. Like it's just for the sake of studying it and getting grades. So how can we make an impact and not make it mandatory, and make students actually be interested to take up environment as an important issue?
Sorry.
Would you want to take it, please?
Sorry. May I just ask Professor Raman, and maybe if Sam can also sort of feed into this answer? Professor Raman and Sam.
I think the green jobs component is fascinating, and I was really enjoying listening to what Neha was saying around her work. I think there's a couple of ways of thinking about this. Every job can be a green job, so I think it's a mindset, not just a skill set, and it's the judgments that you take and the agency you have in your workplace. So I do think it's more a spirit that you can bring, and the questions you ask, and challenging the status quo, which sees waste as a byproduct, which is someone else's problem, as opposed to waste being something that shouldn't be created in the first place, that needs to be considered as part of the whole value chain as well. So that's one. The second thing is we've had some really interesting conversations with the Indian government about the Skills Council and what's possible there. There's a summit in London that we'll be going to next week with also representatives of the Indian government about how do we create the skills and the capacities and the competencies for a workforce that's ready to deliver the transition around the world. And I think we need to be generating hundreds of thousands of young people with that competency and that capability. For that to work, we need to think about what are the pathways that we'll need in the workforce to get to that. I think that means that we'll need to get education systems to unlearn what they learn so they can relearn a new way of delivering what they do. And a cliche, but it's easier to change the course of history. It's easier to change the course of history than it is to change a history course. So because universities are reluctant to change. So there's a lot in the education system that needs to either be, it goes through it or it goes around it. And I think that's a choice of the education system, see what it can do to do things differently. And my last point is I think young people are so powerful in how they ask questions of the educators that they give money to, and are so powerful in kind of what we've seen on this panel today about the agency they have in terms of their ingenuity, their innovation, their creativity, and to not be satisfied with the old ways of doing things. So all of those kind of facets, I think, are important. So just my thing on green jobs and green skills is it feels like we need to put noughts on the end of everything. It feels like the education system needs to be more open to thinking differently. It does many great things, but there's more that it can do. And we need to get girls and young women at the heart of this transition, so it's not a male-based engineering dominance that we see, but it's women at the centre and the front of this transition. So what's been great about this is to see this discussion with many women at the front of the tide turners, and that's not to rule men out from this, but it's more about parity and equity, and I think that's really important.
Thank you, Sam. Professor, anything that you might want to add to this?
Yeah, just pertaining to the question that we do have the ability enhancement course which has been compulsory for all the students, but now with the new education policy there are a few skill enhancement courses which is coming up, in which environmental auditing is there, a few more courses, and I hope so the university, but that's just recent development, and the other universities have a chance to have a 20% variation in that. Maybe courses may be added to which may be job oriented and can also go for the entrepreneur. Yes.
I think we also need to simplify what is green jobs, because so far, I mean, I've spoken to all kinds of youth and people. There is this feeling that green jobs means I have to do engineering, I have to do science, and then only I understand. And there is also, to be very honest, my apologies to everyone who is from the science or engineering, there is a feeling that the others, what are they going to do, what I can't do, kind of a thing. Like, I am there from the science. I'm sure, I've been a teacher and I know, this division between humanities and science is really strong. And same thing pertains to your environmental jobs and green jobs as well. They think it's all to do with science. And we keep using the word science. Yes, science is important, but without humanity also, you can't go. So I think we need to understand what green jobs. Green jobs does not only mean environmental science or environmental engineering, or you have to have a start.
Gayatriji, we have Neha who just wants to quickly come in. Neha, sorry.
Right. Thank you so much. And these are all the great ways to increase, the attention towards this. But I just want to say that it makes sense, just the way data science jobs are booming, the jobs in the climate space are also booming. And just to give you a few numbers, there was 11% growth in environment science technicians in last year, right? There was 7% growth in urban planners, 8% growth in emergency planners, and this is only going to grow. So even if it doesn't make, even if you're not so passionate about environment right now, we are at the point where these things are not passion driven anymore. It's the need of the hour. And because it is the need of the hour, the industry is now more focused towards paying the professionals in this field much more than, what a regular normal course of a career would pay. So it makes sense, even if you're into this only for earning good, this sector is booming, guys, and all the students out there note this, and probably good to start your career early on in this space.
Thank you, Neha.
Thank you, Neha.
We really have to wrap up. Sorry, just last question. Yes.
Very small question. Actually, for waste management, segregation is most important steps. And for this Delhi government or even state government, different governments, they started the dry waste or gila kuda, sukha kuda.
Correct,
initiative.
dry and wet waste, correct.
But actually, as per my experience, and these are all only papers. They are not actually not working. They actually collected separately, but in the end stage, they mix all. Yeah. And that's, I don't, what's the problem actually in this whole scheme? And second question is to, for waste management, the most important role actually played by kabadiwala and rag pickers. They different agencies are but no one actually is talking about, or they are working for the rag pickers. So some big UNEP or some or other different organizations, they are really working, or different entrepreneur, anyone working on their well-being of kabadiwala, rag pickers, because they are playing more important steps, not important, most important steps.
No, both pertinent questions. I'll give a very quick answer that if we are just doing segregation, we are just solving one part of the puzzle. And there are so many steps till it reaches the final conclusion. And that is what not being happening. And that's why you will still see that the segregated gets mixed again and you don't achieve the conclusions. The second question is on Kabadiwalas. I think EPR, again, I would mention about this, that this gives us opportunity to formalize the informal system, which has been helping the country over the last so many centuries, I would say. So, these people can become the collectors of waste, and now the mandate is that the industries need to pay for the collection of this waste. So I think this is the time they can be formalized into the EPR system, and there is a way to go about it. But we need to close this,
Yes.
Arpan. I'll just mention a few concluding things, and then we can, of course, wrap it up. I would not attempt to summarize the session. What I would say is that I can see a sense of satisfaction, a sense of achievement, sense of pride in all the young entrepreneurs who are with us, and they are clearly messengers that this is something which is not only about passion. This is not just only about pride. It's also about a business sense. It's also about making economic activity out of whole of this business. And we have now clear examples with us. One more thing is the passion. We saw the range from Sneha to Gayatri ji, the whole range of people equally passionate and sustaining the passion over the period of time. I don't think we have a colleague more passionate than Gayatri ji in UNEP, and that clearly says what I'm trying to say. The last thing on the lighter side, if you are thinking I have left my passion of cricket for environment, I haven't. I'm still playing, and more importantly, we are talking to BCCI, we are talking to IPL teams to have plastics-free cricket in the country, and we have organized some IPL games which are plastics-free.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the esteemed panelists. Thank you to the wonderful audience member. I'd like to invite Gayatri ji to come and give very brief vote of thanks. 30 seconds.
Thank you guys. I'm done. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody. And I know there are a lot of people interested in taking pictures, but please, my request is please go out, because Dr. Rambuj is saying there's another session going on and we've taken up the space. Thank you all. Thank you everybody. Thank you guys. Online, offline, all lines. Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care. Bye.
Thank you and good luck.